Joining me now is the author of a brand new book, Barack Obama's True Legacy: How He Transformed America, edited by Jamie Glazov, forward by General Michael Flynn. Jamie is the general editor at frontpagemag.com, frontpagemag.com. We interview Daniel Greenfield about once every 2 weeks or so. He writes over there quite a bit. And so, Jamie, welcome to the broadcast. Thank you for joining us.
It's great to be here. Thank you so much.
Tell me what led you to write this book about Barack Obama. I mean, after all, Joe Biden's in the White House, not Barack Obama. That's a kind of a rhetorical question here. I know the answer. I know our audience does as well, but one that some may not know the answer to. Why are we writing about Barack Obama when Biden's in the White House?
Well, part of the answer is, Brandon, that my parents are from the Soviet Union. We escaped that hellhole. That's about 5 hours to tell. But we escaped the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union has now come to us. And I'm dedicated to explaining why and to fighting this evil. And this is Obama's third term. And in terms of the catastrophe that we see in front of us today on every level, the seeds were planted in the Obama administration, and it was fertilized in the soil of the Obama administration. And in my book, I gathered 11 experts that wrote 18 essays, and we talk about everything. They document everything: the betrayal of Israel, how Obama enabled the killing of Israelis, the disastrous nuclear Iran deal, how Obama enabled ISIS, Palestinian terrorism, how he enabled just the catastrophe in the United States itself, economically, in terms of the racial hatred. Just a really, really atrocious record. And this story has to be told, and it's not really told that well. And the media, of course, covers it up, as we know.
Yeah, they do. General Flynn wrote the introduction, and it's an amazing introduction. He's talking about all the things that Barack Obama laid the foundation for. He said, General Flynn writes, Obama had opened up the borders to demographically transform the country. Biden would go even further beyond that to build on his former boss's legacy. And yet here we have today, the 8-1 decision by the Supreme Court that basically expands the powers, I think, of the executive branch. And the Secretary of Department of Homeland Security has come out tonight and celebrating, saying that he is going to continue making America a sanctuary country, not just sanctuary cities or sanctuary states, but a sanctuary country. Some of the state leaders wanted the Biden regime to follow federal law, not just pick parts of it and follow, but follow the federal law and actually get some of these people out of the U.S. And some of these states were calling for that. I think some even sued for that. And 8-1, I don't know how we got this, but 8-1 decision that the administration has the right to just pick whatever laws it wants to follow, ignore the others. Do I have this interpretation correctly of this ruling?
You absolutely do. And Brandon, what I'm dedicated to is trying to understand and dissect the mentality and psychology behind this. And I dedicated my life to understanding the left. I've written this book, United in Hate, that discusses this leftist romance with our totalitarian enemies. Even though a lot of people do not want to believe this, and I don't know what it's going to take to wake up so many Americans, but when a president welcomes a situation where there's an open border, illegals are coming in that are not even vetted, we don't know if it's Al Qaeda, if it's Chinese enemies, et cetera, and instead of shipping them back, they're putting them on planes and on buses and shipping them to different parts of the country. We're not talking about dozens or hundreds. We're talking about thousands, perhaps tens of thousands, or even more. Why would you do that? Because the left hates freedom, and it hates this precious experiment called the United States of America. It wants to destroy this country. I don't know how more blatant it can possibly get that they're pursuing the destruction of America. They are in power now, and on the ashes of the freedom that they want to destroy, they're going to build their utopian paradise, which you so intelligently and accurately said before I came on this show with the other great guest. They end up getting killed themselves in the end. But there's this suicidal tendency of leftists. It's a very deep and haunting topic, and obviously there's something Luciferian there.
Yeah, there absolutely is. I agree with that. Um, how do you see things shaping up for America with the 1,000% spike in military age Chinese males coming over the border? Gordon Chang calls them shock troops, China's shock troops. When you have the Islamists taking over cities, Sharia compliant top to bottom. When you have, as Todd Bensman, who'll be on here next, talking about the firsthand experience, reporting from the border, the numbers of people he's interviewing are coming from these Islamic nations. What do you say America will look like in 2024, 2025? I
Brandon,
mean,
a
if
lot
you
of
had to,
people
in
don't.
other words, if you had to just make a prediction, I won't, we won't hold you to it, but if you had to say, I'm going to ask you to say this is what's going to happen, but if you had to say, I could see these things happening, no, I could see these things happening, what are some of those things you could see happening in 2024?
Well, Brandon, first I'll just say in general, if you don't mind, that a lot of people in America want to believe, or in the West, that Maoism happens over there and it happened over there. Khmer Rouge happened over there. Stalin happened over there. The devil is not just segregated to one place. The Bolshevik Revolution is happening here. And everything that you're saying, this is a catastrophic, frightening situation, free speech being denied. Brandon, as you know, we're coming to a time too of us going to the store with a credit card and they're saying, excuse me, this doesn't work. You need to go home and change your political views because it says here you like Donald Trump and you said it on this date. That's coming here. That Chinese social credit system is coming. This global ID, antichrist kind of infrastructure is coming here. Sharia is coming here. We already know on many, even conservative stations, you can't really say anything truthful about jihad, about Sharia law. So blasphemy laws are already here, and they will be escalating. Just
And by the way, when you say conservative stations, our friend Annie Cyrus, she tells us she hasn't been allowed to go on and say what needs to be said on Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, Fox News. So when you say conservative, so-called conservative stations that are not wanting people to talk about this, that would be one outlet right there, right?
Yeah. Well, Brandon, please keep doing what you're doing because we see it happening. We saw something happening over the years where all of a sudden Robert Spencer and Pamela Geller and Bridget Gabriel, if they even were on Fox, kind of disappeared. Something happened over there where you can't say Muhammad or you can't say certain things in connection to what causes jihad in Sharia law. And then all of a sudden, Tucker leaves. And he was getting very close to certain things, talking about the vaccines, talking about January 6th. All of a sudden, he's gone. Yes, there's some heroes that are still there, but very troubling what can no longer be said on that network. And it's very sad.
Here, General Flynn in the introduction of this book says, after having attained the White House by means of an election that was full of irregularities, which were never fully investigated and buried beneath the media's insistence, that only paranoid conspiracy theorists and diehard partisans thought that the election was anything but free and fair, the Biden administration set out to pursue a number of policies that could lead to nothing less than the end of the United States as a republic of laws governed under the Constitution. General Michael Flynn, three-star general retired, former director of
Yeah.
national intelligence, who was on this show, I think, last night.
Yeah. Very depressing, Brandon. A couple themes there. Hey, look, we are so honored that General Michael Flynn, a true hero, wrote the foreword to our book. What a privilege and honor. He's a true hero. Couple things that you mentioned there, just in terms of the election coming up. Are we going to have a situation again where Trump is ahead by hundreds of thousands of votes and all of a sudden people stop counting and then in the morning something strange starts happening? Dinesh D'Souza's film, 2000 Mules, it showed some very troubling evidence about some things. I'm wondering, Brandon, have the Republicans, have conservatives built up some safeguards where some of those strange things may not happen again? Very depressing because even if we are filling stadiums and Biden is speaking in front of 2.5 people that might be mannequins, something very strange is happening with the voting. So even though we're on the cause of truth and we have so much support, it looks like the fix is in terms of what the globalists and the leftists are up to. And it's very troubling.
Well, isn't that what McFarland said? Even and they let it air on Fox on Maria Bartiromo's show. She said that the intelligence arena stole and rigged the last election. They're going to steal and rig the next one, 2024. I mean, I think again, I think the CIA is largely behind most of this.
When I was younger, I came to the United States as a little boy and growing up, and I was for America, and I was anti-communist. I'm still all those things. What I mean in the context of what you said, I kind of thought that CIA and FBI were good, right? And then all of a sudden, especially recently, we begin to understand, is it the same side? Is it two different sides of the same coin, of the same sword? I mean, the evidence in terms of the JFK assassination, in terms of what we're seeing, and also the incredible disinterest in that, and also what we're seeing today, all this evidence about how the DOJ crushed the investigation into Hunter Biden, and everything that we know. We have a chapter in our book by Joseph Klein, the Obamagate, that war on Flynn that the FBI waged, that Obama was behind. This is all the same story in terms of the indictment of Trump. And now we have a situation where our intelligence agencies are in parking lots writing down the license plates of parents who are at a meeting trying to stop drag queens from dancing in front of their children. This is what our intelligence agencies are doing now. Very, very scary. And thank God for people like you and Mike Brannon for continuing to telling the truth. Thank you. Thank you for putting a spotlight on my book, because I'm stressing, and our 11 experts stressed in that book, we have to know where the seeds are from. We have to know who's still in charge. We have to understand. And the catastrophe in front of our eyes very much fertilized in the soil of the Obama administration, which continues to be in many respects a puppet master, whether it's Obama or the people around him. This is the spirit of the left and its main enforcers.
Look at this headline over at, you're the general editor of frontpagemag.com, and here's the article tonight you have posted by Daniel Greenfield, who we interview about once a week here, once every 2 weeks. A.G. Garland, accusing DOJ of misconduct is an attack on democracy. Isn't that always so convenient? If you show that this man is a lawless dumbbell, I mean, he really is. I've watched him talk. I've listened to him. You know, Delta deposits things in the yard with a higher IQ than this fool. This is a dingbat. And isn't this just like a dingbat, a corrupt dingbat, arrogant, corrupt? I mean, he's so arrogant, he's stupid. To sit there and say, well, if you accuse me of violating my oath of office and, you know, us doing something illegal, that makes you the one that's really illegal, misconduct and attack on democracy. The psychological projection. First of all, idiot. We're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic, but I don't expect a moron like you to know that, you piece of human trash. But isn't that something that Merrick Garland would say, that we're the ones attacking the foundations of our country, when he's the Attorney General of the United States and about as lawless of a crook as we've ever seen in the office?
Yeah. You've said, gave us so much wisdom there, Brandon. Just on
and a lot of insults with it.
No, but it's very true. I just want to say, okay, well, first of all, Daniel Greenfield, Shillman Fellow Daniel Greenfield, brilliant guy over at Front Page. We're so grateful to have him. We're also grateful to Dr. Bob Shillman that makes all of our Shillman Fellowships possible at Front Page. We're very grateful. Brandon, we're on the same page. I just want to add a little footnote here. You call them morons and idiots. Absolutely. Absolutely. For instance, the devil is an idiot because in the end, he took the wrong side, right? But at the same time, in terms of what they are doing during a certain timeline until Jesus comes back and until there's victory spiritually, there's a certain timeline, as we know, Brandon, where these monsters are also very clever, very brilliant, very devious. So a lot of people are like, oh, Kamala and Biden and Garland, all these idiots, these morons. Don't get me wrong. You're absolutely right in what you're saying, but there's another side of this where this is very, very deviously calculated, and they're carrying this out brilliantly. And they've got the media in their pockets, so they know that they're not going to be confronted on this or investigated. And they're brilliant in how they're taking America apart. We have to keep this in mind. On the one hand, they're morons, yes, but on the other hand, let us not underestimate the devious evil that they're perpetrating. And we have to stand up and start fighting for our rights, because the left does not play. This is the problem. A lot of conservatives do not fight political war. The left is fighting 24/7. A lot of conservatives just live their lives and don't fight. And we understand that because we want to live and just enjoy our lives. But we have to understand our enemies are pernicious, and they're fighting 24/7 to take us down.
Oh, I agree. I agree. I do wonder, though, if these guys aren't useful idiots, the historical
Mhm.
term, that they aren't
Yes.
Romans 1 fools and useful idiots, and really that they are not real bright.
Hmm.
But the people that have put into place the devious plan, like Barack Obama. Now, I think Barack
Yes.
Obama is very smart. I think Barack Obama is probably has a very high intellect, a very high IQ. I think Barack
Mm-hmm.
Obama is probably very well studied. He understands the strategy. But I think guys like Merrick, I think guys like Joe
Yes.
Biden, Jill Biden, I think people like the dude in a dress that's now over the assistant director over at HHS, the dude who's in a dress, the dude who thinks he's now a woman. Well, I can't remember the debased fool's name, but you listen to these people talk, or
Yeah.
Michelle Walensky at the CDC. You listen to these people talk, and I watch hours of their testimonies, right? And I
Yes.
think to myself, these people really are dumb. But I think the reason that
Yes.
the reason they are where they are is because they are so stupid and
Yes.
will do what they're told. But I agree with you. I think the ones who are running the plan are very intelligent. They understand psychological warfare. They
Yeah.
understand cultural Marxism. They understand legal positivism. They understand the public private partnerships of communitarianism. They understand globalism. They understand the need to destroy national sovereignty. They understand the Hegelian dialectic process and pitting everybody against each other. These people are at the top, are brilliant. But I think they pick white trash morons like this guy to help run it, who's really, quite frankly, stupid.
Brandon, you are so correct. What you're discussing right now, it just hits at the heart of my life, because I dedicated my life to studying this phenomenon of the left. And so, yes, we have the malicious calculators. And of course, then we have those idiot morons.
Yep.
So, for instance, the Russian Revolution, Bolshevik Revolution, there were all those liberals in the intelligentsia that supported the Russian Revolution. And all of a sudden, they're the first ones put up against the
That's
wall.
right. That's
And they're
right.
like, oh, what's going on? What's going on? And we saw this happen in Cuba. We saw this happen in Stalinist Russia, in Mao Zedong. So you're absolutely right. And then at the same time, there is a death wish there, because there's such a hatred of humanity and man for what and who he is, that in part there's a certain percentage there. Yes, there's the fools. Then there's a certain percentage where they hate God's creation so much and man for what and who he is, that in some ways it's a subconscious death wish. All those fellow travelers that traveled to these communist paradises to worship there, they ended up getting killed. And it's a fascinating phenomenon. But in my study of this, there's somewhere where it's also calculated, and very, very difficult problem. And I just want to add here, I often think about Satan and how clever and brilliant he is. And yet when Jesus came and he finally succeeded in getting him up on the cross, and he killed Jesus, and he thought that he won, but he lost, because what Jesus did on the cross for us, the devil did not understand. So these people are, on the one hand, brilliant and carry out evil like their master, and yet they're extremely stupid, because they don't completely understand divine wisdom and truth and the force of good in the world.
Mm. Wow, great way to end tonight's interview with the editor and author of this book, Jamie Glazov. Barack Obama's True Legacy: How He Transformed America, forward by General Michael Flynn. Where can they get it, Jamie?
They can get it at Amazon.com, but I highly recommend to get it at our store at Front Page Magazine. What an honor it is for me to fight alongside David Horowitz that is really fighting this evil. So go to frontpagemag.com, get it at our bookstore. Brandon, you're such an intelligent, great guy, but the way you dress, it's just A plus. How do you do it every time?
You're very nice. I have a wife that's very good at dressing me.
You're always looking immaculate. And Brandon, thank you so much for having me on. This is the issue of our time. And in Brothers Karamazov and Dostoevsky's novel, there was a murderer who killed Fyodor Karamazov, but there was someone who came up with the idea to kill him. We have to keep an eye on the people who do it, but also on the people who gave the idea. And let's keep that in mind as we're watching the left and how it hurts us in this country.
Indeed. Jamie Glazov, editor of frontpagemag.com, frontpagemag.com, Barack Obama's True Legacy: How He Transformed America. Thank you for being with us tonight, Jamie.
What an honor, Brandon, and thank you to Mike Lindell for all that he's doing. Thank you.
Thank you.